Listen to your heartbeat, to your breath. Feel into the space, attune to the people around you, the beings beyond. This kind of deep listening or attunement was at the heart of my summer praxis, learning about and living within Findhorn, an intentional community, eco-village, and educational center in northeast Scotland. Prefiguring currents in the decolonial turn, attunement has been a core practice at the Findhorn community since its founding 60 years ago. The eco-village that grew there, vital in catalyzing a global eco-village movement. Findhorn is the name of a historic Scottish fishing village on the Moray Firth, an inlet of the North Sea. The name is also attached to Findhorn Bay, Findhorn River, and other places and things in the area, including the two deeply entwined institutions, the Eco-Village Findhorn at the park and the Findhorn Foundation. My experience as an educator and co-housing resident has led me to develop a keen interest in intentional communities as utopian spaces where individuals can witness, partake in, and learn ways of being otherwise that potentially serve beyond the community. I was interested in exploring through my praxis how Findhorn and places like it provide opportunities for individuals to grow and feel a greater sense of well-being, what practices are most effective in ensuring that communities survive and thrive, and how they might foster social change. I also felt called to deepen my connection to the line and legacy of my ancestors, settler colonialists who immigrated from Northern Europe, primarily England, Scotland, and Ireland, colonizers and colonized both. I come from a long line of seekers. Born in western Montana, the daughter of Tom Haney and Jyoti Sayun, we were white, able-bodied, privileged, and had all the vestiges of the so-called American dream within the heteronormative nuclear family. A certain kind of good life until it wasn't. My parents took different paths to find connection and meaning beyond themselves and our family. My mother through the healing arts, my father through his music. In their own ways, listening for something more. I also sought personal transformation and dreamed of a more just, peaceful, egalitarian world. I had the freedom and the privilege to engage in utopian imaginings. The work at Pacifica Graduate Institute has both reawakened and grounded my thinking and dreaming. I have experienced directly how living in community can change us for the better and bring us closer to this utopian vision. And I've seen how challenging it can be, especially for those who've been enculturated in colonial, Western, educated, industrial, rich, and democratic societies, so-called weird societies. In earlier exploration of utopian ideas, I came upon the book The Magic of Findhorn. This book tells the story of how the individuals who are seen as the founders of Findhorn had no intention of creating an intentional community. The fabled garden began as simply a way to survive after they had been fired as managers of the Clooney Hill Hotel. There's not the space here to share their full life stories and how their garden and their eco-village beyond it grew. Suffice it to say, the white Northern European and Christian persuasion, the founders carried coloniality in their bones, as well as pre-colonial legacies of mystical practices and Celtic connections to nature and nature spirits. Findhorn soon became a site of pilgrimage and center of spiritual learning. The overall purpose and three core practices still at the heart of the community came to light. Listening to the sacred within, co-creating with the intelligence of nature, and work is love in action. Synchronicity connected me to Findhorn once again, and I was excited to learn more. Just before leaving for Scotland, I discovered that the community was in the midst of a huge transition. Economic strains brought on by mismanagement, Brexit, and the pandemic, as well as the ensuing layoffs, had led to trauma upon trauma. The Findhorn Foundation, which not only housed the educational center, but provided some essential financial resources and management structures for the eco-village at the park, would soon be closing. I was privileged to still be able to partake in one of the last educational offerings, one of the Findhorn Foundation's oldest and most impactful programs, Experience Week, where I began my research in earnest, employing a transformational approach, participating in activity settings, using the tools of ethnography and autoethnography. This program promised to provide a pause, a step back from life's challenges and changes, and a step forward into a personal journey of transformation, as well as to guide us through Findhorn's core practices. I was joined by 20 other learners and seekers, most very much like me, older, white, Northern European in background, mirroring the demographics of the Findhorn community itself. The core principles manifested in myriad ways as we worked together in the kitchen or the garden, took part joyfully in sacred dance and song, sat in sharing circles, and spent time in connection with more than human others in ancient forests. A longtime resident toured us through the eco-village, sharing that the secret of Findhorn was attunement and the energy of love. As we walked by the nature sanctuary, art centers, the many different styles of eco-homes, sustainable technologies, and wild, beautiful garden spaces. Each of the 8 community members I later interviewed also talked about the impact of the spiritual dimension of Findhorn, how the core practices, and especially attunement, had served to open their hearts, create community, and build trust. All had hoped for and found a lifestyle more aligned with their values, felt connected to a deeper purpose, and saw their engagement with the community as a means to social change. I can say with certainty that I, along with all of my colleagues in the program, experienced something very powerful, even transformative, an opening of heart and mind, a deepening of our connection to nature and to spirit. I want to think we are all now better able to do and be otherwise and bring good to our communities. To move closer to a utopian vision, the change agents at Findhorn would do well to lean into diverse epistemological and ontological approaches as they evolve further. A rerouting of the principle of co-creating with nature to bring forward indigenous Celtic wisdom. The role that coloniality has played in the community's history and its evolving present, and working toward greater social equity, deserve a larger focus as well. Perhaps a 4th core principle and practice could be named: centering justice and joy for all. I remain curious about the relationship between individual and community transformation, between community change and larger social shifts. I wonder about the tendency for those steeped in colonialism to turn in too deeply to their own personal journey. That is why a utopian praxis is needed. Freudian movement from action to reflection, and from reflection upon action to a new action. This connected to a corollary movement from intrapersonal to interpersonal to systemic transformation and back again, with utopian imaginings in mind and love and listening at the heart.